Hello, everyone. It's Renee, the Practical Shaman, and welcome to A Pilgrim's Guide in Walking Wisdom, 1111 Insights. And today we're actually sharing Insight 11, which goes into the whole idea of 1111. In fact, this week, I have seen 1111 every single time in the morning I've looked at my phone. And I was asking myself, is it because I tend to look at the phone every 5 minutes, or is it that I tend to pick up the phone at 11:11? And I'm going to go with the latter, that I tend to pick up the phone at 11:11, and it's a validation of what it is that I'm doing in that moment that I should pay closer attention to. And I'm going to invite you to do that as well, is to see what numbers you pick up on your own phone or whatever. If you're walking by Big Ben, a lot of people have been in London lately. What are the times and how are they showing you? So in Insight 11, it's about following your heart. It's called Follow Your Heart. But the beauty is in the walking. We are betrayed by destinations. Gwen Thomas. And the search for meaning is a common theme throughout the centuries in myth, storytelling, and religion. In Insight 2, I shared about a hero's journey from King Arthur. It is written that the Holy Grail was found by Sir Galahad, the son of Sir Lancelot, who is depicted as the purest and most virtuous of King Arthur's knights. His success in finding the Grail in this story symbolizes the spiritual purity and divine favor. The quest for the Holy Grail is one of the most famous elements of the Arthurian legend, representing the knight's purest of spiritual perfections and divine mysteries. Similarly, the search for the Holy Grail could be at the heart of each pilgrim who hears the call and undertakes the personal journey. This week, I invite you to ask, what's in your heart? How do you serve? Your body, as your vessel of service, carries your soul and spirit. While your spirit may be everlasting, your body gets only one chance at life, so make it count. And one of my dear friends who has watched me struggle to learn to write, I've been writing since my grandmother gave me the steno pad when I was, I don't know, maybe 10, 11 years old at one Christmas. And that was my very first journal, and probably one of the few I kept. But my friend this week suggested that I'm a good storyteller and that I might want to consider writing some other stories. And so this morning, she sparked something in my own heart. Many years ago, I started the book, The Shaman Chef, How Cooking Saved My Life. And at the time, it was this story about how everyone had done me wrong. And the story of how everyone had done me wrong was my father, my parents. And the first time through was a real garbage dump of what they had done to me, for me. And then the second time through was how I made them all right and me wrong. And that was just as useless as the first copy. And then the third time through, I tried to find the more universal story, which I really think that I captured here in A Pilgrim's Guide to Walking Wisdom. And so this idea that she came with was that I should write the tale of how I became the practical shaman. And she didn't mean the words of the practical shaman, but she meant that one of the things that most people don't know about me is all of the initiations that I went through in order to be sitting here today, able to write the Windwalker Wisdom Oracle and A Pilgrim's Guide to Walking Wisdom. And so I started that this morning. And I think that could be a really good in my heart's journey, because I got started on this path in the early 2000s. And one of the things that is true for me, and I don't know if it's true for you, whoever's watching this, is that I worked with them all. For some reason, every single person that I had met or came about that have been significant in this space came across my path. And I say that because I don't know that I sought them out. I think that spirit sought me out, which is this whole thing about being, I was the reluctant shaman. I went reluctantly, and Hank Wesselman sought me out on one day on a hotel where there was hundreds of people, and he sought me out. And I worked with Alberto Vialdo, and I worked with Don Manuel Quispe before he died in Peru, and Luz Clara and Brooke Medicine Eagle, and even who was that woman Lynn Andrews. I was the last interview she gave before she died. She wrote to Hay House and said, I want to interview Renee Baribeau. And I don't know if I was the last, but I was one of the very few last interviews. And so everybody who came up in that other generation, and Sandra Ingerman choosing me to be her podcast co-host. I never had studied with Sandra. In fact, the first class I ever took with her was recently in that death and dying class. And so if I'm following my true path in my heart, I think back to, why did all of these people come across my path? And why haven't I've been such a renegade. Why haven't I really used it as a jumping board for my own personal gain or whatever? And I think that even recently, when somebody called me and wanted me to come pick up a sacred item from them, it reminded me that I do carry a pipe for the people. And I just taken all of these experiences and put them in a wind sack somewhere. And so I think that this year, I think I'm going to unpack some of those experiences and follow that thread of my heart and see where that leads. And I don't know, because Walking the Camino came up out of the blue and I followed it. So when my friend suggested maybe that I write this adventure and fictionalize it so that I don't have to tell all the nitty gritty, dirty back of the scene details, because there was some, everyone from the 13 grandmothers who came across my living room to other people, we all are human first. And so I want to maybe make it more of an adventure story and weave all of these fun initiations, and they weren't always fun in the moment, but how I could look back at them and really help people who are searching. And so that's all I have to share today. And if you've been following along with this and you haven't ordered the book yet, by all means, pick up this book. It's a great little book. It has great little insights, and you're going to be hearing a lot more about it in the coming days, because next week at the recovery conference that I do, the behavioral healthcare conference, I've actually printed out like a one sheet on how you can walk for recovery. And I think that this is going to grow. And I really want to thank the people in this first 1111 Insights group with me, because I know that you've held the seed here for this to grow.